Good afternoon, DuEwa here, and today is Wednesday, and I'm going to do a virtual read of a few teen reads, well rather one middle grade read and one teen read. I have two books here. If you were with me yesterday, we read from three poetry collections, 10 Marbles, Shedding Light from My Journeys, and Stardust Tracks on the Road. So today I thought I would switch it up and read some fiction. So I'm going to start with Quincy Rules, and this is more of a middle grade, early teen book that I wrote and was published in 2016. And I'm happy to answer questions or just reply to any of your comments that you might have after I'm done with the read aloud. And so just to tell you a little bit about Quincy Rules, this was written as a mystery. And years ago, I had an interest to write mystery fiction for young people because it's something that I enjoyed when I was growing up. I love mysteries and, you know, whether it was movies or books, and just thought it would be really neat for middle grade and YA readers. So Quincy, the protagonist of this story is 15 years old. She's in high school. She lives with her mom and her stepdad. And the whole crux of the story is Quincy wants to find her actual father, her birth father, who she doesn't remember and she never met. Because her mother has been married to a new person for years and they have a child, and Quincy kind of feels out of sorts in terms of her identity and not knowing her other parent. So I just thought it would be an interesting conflict to give to a young person, and also weaved in some other ideas for the story. And so I figured I would start off with chapter 6. So we've been introduced to Quincy already, but here we get a little bit of the tension. Hi, Chantel. We get a little bit of the tension in Quincy's household, and this kind of gives us a little information about why she wants to find her birth father, her actual father, so much. And this is titled Terrence Talks. I can see Mom in the kitchen at the sink washing dishes. I don't hear Van. I hang up my coat and leave my shoes near the front door. We don't usually wear shoes in the house. Mom's rules. I drop my backpack on the floor next to the living room couch. The drop is loud. Quincy, not so loud, Mom says. Van's in there sleeping. It's dark. I hadn't bothered to look over to see Van laying on his stomach, sound asleep on the adjacent love seat. Good thing I didn't wake him up. The sound of unhappy Van isn't music to my ears at all. I walk into the kitchen. A tray of half-open cookies are on the counter. I grab two. Macaroons. I offer a, sorry, Mom, for nearly waking Van. And just so you know, Van is Quincy's baby brother, so that's why she's kind of tiptoeing around him. She doesn't respond. She's concentrating on straining tea leaves. Hey, Quince, Terrence asks, how was your day? He doesn't put much energy into talking, so why should I? I mumble a barely audible reply. Fine. Straight to the point, but not giddy. Enough to satisfy him without evoking further questions. Terrence is sitting at the kitchen table. He doesn't even bother to look up from his paper when he asks about my day. And he's still eating. Burns me up when he doesn't look at me. It's like I'm just a passerby in my own house. Terrence is not big on contact anyway. We don't hug. We barely talk unless it's about parent-teacher conference, the yoga studio, my allowance, or helping my mom with van and chores. We could go a whole week without talking. Me up in my room or at school, Terrence working or otherwise occupied with watching football, baseball, basketball, or reading the paper. Terrence is what my mom calls the strong, silent type. When they disagree, it's because my mom has a problem. She wants something changed or doesn't agree with something Terrence does. Terrence listens, and then he, not she, makes the final decision. The final decision may not include anything. that my mom actually wants. Still, she goes along with it anyway. I wonder why my mom became this strong, empowered woman, as she used to call herself before Terrence, learning yoga and reading all these books, if all she was going to do was give up her freedom and brain over to him. I never want to be that kind of girl or that kind of woman, only doing what someone else says, not thinking about what's really right for me. Ugh, adult problems. Mom turns around. I know she wants to gab. I don't, especially with Terrence around. She's going to try and be extra cheery as if it's going to make me open up more. Hey, Quincy, Mom says, how was your visit at Delaney's? How's her mother doing? Good, I say, looking into a pot on the stove. Well, didn't you eat anything, hun? Mom says. Yeah, I ate. Laney's mom made rice and peas with plantains. I know Delaney's mom wouldn't let you go hungry, Mom says, so what else is new? Mom's rinsing the last plate and drying her hands. Nothing. Why would anything be new? I don't know, Mom says. You don't usually go to Delaney's on a school night and stay until 8. Okay, I shrug. I grab some popcorn from the cabinet, pour it onto a paper towel. What's the matter, Quince? Mom asks. You seem irritated. Nothing, I say. I'm going up to my room. Okay, well, if you need anything, I don't. I turn and walk away. Quincy, stop, Terrence says. Don't turn your back on your mother when she's talking to you, he says, closing his newspaper. You could have a better attitude. I turn back around and look at Terrence, then at Mom. I feel the weight of her stare. I don't know how to pretend to have a better attitude, but I know I'll have to. Yes, Mom, I say. Was there anything else before I head upstairs to do my homework? I'm speaking as painfully calm as I can. Truthfully, I'm still pissed at my mom for not being more understanding about my dad. It's hard for me to hide my feelings. I hate faking it, but I'll have to if I'm ever going to get upstairs without a lecture from Terrence. Mom's squinting at me. She's thinking of what to say without being confrontational. I know that look. Quincy, Mom says, it just makes me uncomfortable when you don't talk to me, us. We just want to know how your day went, that's all. She comes closer, touches me on my shoulder, giving me a look of earnest sympathy. You know, Mom says, I'm here if you need anything. By the way, thanks for helping me this weekend in the studio. Yeah, I know, Mom, I say. You're welcome. Mom turns to give Terrence a mug of hot tea, then sits down next to him to drink her own. Okay, hun, good night. Terrence doesn't bother looking up from his paper. Whatever. I don't need his good night anyway. Night. That was easier than I thought. For a minute, I thought Mom might give me the 3rd degree about what I did at Delaney's besides eat. Glad she didn't. I would have lied anyway and said I was studying. It's always acceptable to say I was studying. Mom doesn't hold on to things. She usually just lets things go. I've never given her any trouble, never given her anything to worry about, so she usually leaves me be when I'm moody. Right now, I'm not even moody. I just want to be left alone. So that was chapter 6 in Quincy Rules. So what happened before that is, hi John, hi Rashad, hi. Hey Garthian, how's it going? Thanks for you all being here. And Niles, if you're watching. So what happened before is Quincy starts asking questions about her father, her birth father. And as I mentioned at the beginning, she doesn't know who he is. Her mother was young, a college student or after college when she had her. Her parents married very young. And her mother has never really told her the story of, so sorry, my phone is shaking. Her mother has never really told her the story of why she and her father are not together. But Quincy receives these mysterious letters and cards from her father on her birthday, during holidays, and get this, the letters always have a stamp from somewhere around the world. Like, it's not the US per se, It's not, you know, where she lives, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. And so, but her father never tells her where he is. And that's what's so frustrating for Quincy. And when she questions her mom about this, her mom just goes, look, we handle everything through an attorney. I receive a certain amount of money for you every month. I don't question it. I don't try to find him. It's worked out. It's worked out this way for years. You've never asked me. And so it's sort of this hush-hush thing about where Quincy's father is and possibly who he is. Okay, and so I just wanted to read that to kind of set up the tension of why, one of the reasons why she's looking for her father, because her mom now is starting a new family. You know, she has a new husband, she has a child, and sometimes you often hear about blended families or step parents and step kids, and sometimes it's not always a very comfortable situation. And so that's what Quincy is dealing with in this book. Okay, just seeing if you all have any questions. Okay, so I'm gonna read another chapter, and so Quincy wants to start looking for her father, but she needs clues. And we know in every good mystery, there are clues along the way that helps to guide you to where do you look and where do you go next. So Quincy found some information, and that's what her friend Delaney was helping her find, which is a woman who she thinks might be her grandmother, who she thinks might be her father's mother, but this person has not been in her life. So she's really not sure. So she's gotten an address, and now Quincy is going to do a little bit of snooping on her own, and she's going to try to talk to this woman and find out whether this is her grandmother or not, or whether this person can give her information on her father. So this chapter is called Orange Ginger, and I'm sorry if this is kind of, I'm kind of new at this, so I need to figure out how to turn the images to where you can see it the way I see it. So in process of doing this, I'll figure it out at some point, but probably not today. But I'll give my website links so you all can look the book up and find out more information. Oh, John, thanks for your question. This is Quincy Rules, and it's my middle grade, early teen novel that I wrote. It's a mystery, and here you can see it. Sorry that it's a bit backwards, but the title is Quincy Rules. I approach the gate of the house on Dorsey Avenue. I see an old woman sweeping. She's humming and bending down to pick up sticks off the concrete. She doesn't hear me open the gate at first until my backpack gets caught on one of the metal hooks. The old lady looks up at me and stops sweeping. "Are you a Girl Scout selling cookies?" she asks. "I certainly don't need any. Why haven't I even touched the last 8 boxes I bought from you girls last year? They're too fattening." "No," I say, "I'm not selling any cookies or anything." She's standing with her chin resting on her hands, the broom right under her. She's dressed pretty snazzy for an older lady, and pretty colorful at that. Bright white sneakers, an orange and turquoise sweatsuit, and sunglasses, but the sunglasses aren't that dark. They're only slightly tinted. I can still see her eyes. I can tell she's wearing a bunch of eyeliner and mascara and stuff, and she's got on hot pink lipstick. So this is one hot to trot lady. So this is a woman who could be her grandmother, right? And Quincy's just kind of checking her out and seeing what she looks like, and kind of, you know, thinking about how to best approach this person because they've never met. "Are you a runaway?" she asks. "You don't look like a runaway. Aren't you supposed to be in school? If you're looking for a place to stay, I don't rent to minors." "No," I say, "I'm not looking for a place to stay, and I'm not a runaway. Miss, Well, if you're looking for Peter, my tenant's son," she snarls, "he's already gone to football practice. That boy has more girls coming by here to see him. I don't know why. He's not much to look at." "Come on, lady, I don't have all day." I wish she'd stop with all the questions. "No," I say, "I don't know Peter." "Well, if you're not here for Peter and you don't sell Girl Scout cookies, what do you want?" she asks. I'm looking for someone, I say. A man who used to live here. See? I take the photo of me and my dad from my bag and show it to her. So side note, Quincy found a photo of her and her father. Her father is like holding her and she's a tiny baby, you know, months old. And she found this in the basement of the home that she currently lives in with her mom and stepdad. So all she has is this photo and she doesn't have much else to go on. She does believe that she thinks she might know a part of his name, but she's really not like she's not sure if it's his real name. She pauses and doesn't say anything. She just has this blank, calm look on her face. Can't tell if she recognizes him or not. Do you know the man in the picture, I ask? That's who I'm looking for. He used to live here, right? I know who you are right now, she says. You're Samantha, and this is my son, Richard. She takes a photo out of my hand, but drops it. And she drops the broom, too. Her hands are shaky. No, miss, I'm not Samantha. My name is Quincy. Quincy Lyles. And your name? Mrs. Stackhouse. Jacqueline Stackhouse. And that baby there? This is my granddaughter, Samantha. I have never argued with an older woman before. I probably shouldn't start. She might have information that I need, but she seems to get irritated, so I don't know what I'm going to get out of her. Miss Stackhouse, I say, I'm not Samantha, and Richard's not my father's name. Richard's his name, Richard Stackhouse, she says, pointing at the photograph. Named him right after his father, who passed on 7 years ago. Bless my Richard, what a good man he was. He just passed before he could see his little granddaughter again. Broke his heart. Broke his heart? What? Broke what heart, I ask. I feel like I'm in one of those weird black and white movies where there's an actress who's talking to no one in particular, even though people are there in the room with her and she's going on and on about some fake illness or tragedy she's suffered. Meanwhile, the people in the room are trying to get her attention because, well, the house is on fire and everyone's rushing out except her. Miss Stackhouse, Jacqueline, she says, call me Jacqueline. Well, Grandma Jacqueline, really, since you're my Samantha, but Jacqueline to start. Okay, Jacqueline, I just want to find my dad, Albert. I know him as Albert Paul. At least that's the name he put on the letters, and that's what my mom calls him. Your mother. Now, where is she, child? She asks. It's getting cold. Why don't we go inside? I'll make us some hot tea and we'll talk. She turns her back, picks up the broom, and carries it to the side of the house. Sure, okay, I say. My mother's a big tea drinker, so I'm used to it. The house is a duplex, not very big. It looks like someone lives upstairs and someone else lives at the bottom. But the doors are side by side. The door on the right is open. That must be Jacqueline's house. As we walk up the steps, I hear a clock inside chiming. I check my phone. It's already 5. I know I can't stay much longer, and I'm getting hungry. My stomach always tells me when it's time to leave somewhere. We walk in, and I immediately smell something I've never smelled before. It burns my nose a little bit. Make yourself comfortable, Jacqueline says. There's the closet to your left. You can hang up your coat and put your bag in there. Oh, and take off your shoes. Don't want any dirt or mud on my clean white carpet. She takes off her own shoes and leaves them in the hallway. Okay. Jacqueline disappears through the living room and down the hall, I guess to the kitchen. I hear her open cabinets and the hissing sound of water pouring. What do you like? She asks. I have peppermint, orange ginger, chamomile, and English breakfast. Orange ginger, please, I say. I take off my shoes and put them near the door. I open the closet to hang up my coat. Just as the door opens, a cat jumps out. Meowing all the way to the kitchen, a flash of gray fur jumping past. I barely get a look at it. Your cat just came out the closet, I say. Oh, that's Callie, she says. She likes to play in the closet. She's so sweet. Kind of shy, though. I still feel cold from the outside. The warmth from the house is helping me thaw. The living room is gray like Jacqueline's cat. The small amount of light streaming through the curtain casts shadows against the furniture. Everything looks vintage, old, and still. Looks like the only thing this living room is used for is sipping tea. All of the furniture is so close together as if each chair and 3 sofas are talking to each other. I sit on the dark brown leather sofa. It's covered in pillows with images of colorful embroidered cats. Such a stereotype that lonely people like cats. I wonder, is Jacqueline lonely? The walls are covered in all kinds of paintings. Paintings of fruit, ballerinas, cats, soldiers in war, women with bare shoulders and poofy hair, and a painting that looks like it's straight out of one of those Greek tragedies we read about in English. She's got animal figurines on top of bookshelves and plenty of old-looking books. I don't see any magazines or newspapers. There's no TV, no desk, or computer. Tea's ready, Jacqueline says, putting a tray down on the coffee table in front of me. How much sugar do you like? 1 teaspoon? 2? She asks. I'll take 3, I say, leaning forward to grab my tea mug. You'll like this orange ginger, she says. I'm having peppermint. It always settles my stomach and helps me burp. Jacqueline sits down across from me on the opposite sofa. We sip our tea in silence for a few minutes. I feel a little weird being here, but I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not really sure this lady is my grandmother. She could just be some crazy old lady I need to find out, though. Jacqueline, you said that the man in my photo is your son, Richard, but I know him as Albert. Do you know my mom? Of course I know your mother, dear. They lived here together when you were just a little baby. Richard, your grandfather, and I were in Georgia at the time, she says, stirring sugar in her teacup. What do you mean at the time? I ask. The time of what? Well, when your mother married Richard, she was very young, right out of college, and my son was already working. Then she got pregnant with you. Tell me what happened. Do you know why they even broke up? Oh, there's so much to say, she says. Jacqueline starts to look down. I wonder at what. Then I see the cat start to rub its side against the base of the sofa. Jacqueline rubs the cat's back. She might be hungry. I'll have to feed her soon. She stops talking as if she doesn't even remember that I just asked her a question. Jacqueline, I asked if you knew why my parents broke up. How did I end up alone with my mom? Why haven't I seen my dad in all these years, I asked. Jacqueline gives me a blank look. Why don't we go upstairs, she asks. I'd like to show you something. Okay. I'm not sure why she wants to go upstairs, but if I want any questions, I think I should follow her. I start to bring my tea mug with me. Oh no, don't bring that, she says with a stern tone of voice. I don't allow food or drinks upstairs. Sure. I try to drink most of the tea, then I set the mug down on the tray. Jacqueline walks toward the stairs. The cat follows her, and I follow too. The stairs, like the entire living room floor, is covered in plush white carpet. We walk up 7 steps. We pass a bathroom on the left, a bedroom on the right, a small office room, and then down at the end of the hall is another room. The door is closed. Jacqueline opens the door, and it's as if a flash of pink light escapes from the room and pierces my eyes. What is making this room so bright? I step inside and see that it's a burst of pink and bright, girly berry colors. It looks like the cartoon character Strawberry Shortcake's room, or maybe Southern Belle Barbie. Jacqueline turns around with a big crazy smile on her face. Samantha, all of this was yours. Isn't it beautiful? I kept it up all these years just for you. That makes me laugh. I just think this is funny. Okay. The Big 4 poster bed is covered in pink sheets, a pink comforter with hearts, and lots of pink and white stuffed animals. There are dolls sitting and standing on the floor. It's a total doll museum. On the wall are framed posters of Sesame Street characters, My Little Pony characters, and Hello Kitty. The rugs are pink and white with red hearts, and there's a rocking chair in the corner near one of the windows with 2 heart pillows on the seat. The room is giving me the creeps. And I smell that funny smell again that's burning my nose. Well, don't you like it? Jacqueline asks. Her smile begins to fade. I must not look too enthusiastic. Yeah, it's nice, I guess. Did you decorate all of this yourself? I asked, trying not to totally wig out on her and tell her, this room is terrible. What little girl would want to stay here? But no, I keep my cool. I have to. Well, I've been collecting dolls and stuffed animals over the years, she says. We used to send all of these toys and little baby things to your mother when you were just a baby. Yeah, so where's the crib, I ask. I sold the crib. I had this bed put in 5 years ago, just in case. Of course, I knew you weren't a baby anymore. I wonder, does she know that I've just had a birthday? Does she know anything about me at all, where I live, where I go to school? Does she know that my mom got remarried? I doubt it. I never heard my mother talk about Jacqueline. She always said my father didn't have any family. Maybe she kept Jacqueline from me because she's so weird. Jacqueline, if you're my grandmother, why haven't I seen or heard from you in all these years? Why didn't you even call me? Call? And say what, she asked. Your mother didn't want to hear from me, child. She cut us off. After she left your father, she cut us all off. That's right. She sits on the bed looking out of the window. Why did she do that, Jacqueline? Why did she leave my father? Look, honey, I'll give you my number. You can call me sometime next week. I'm tired. I need to eat. My sugar is getting low. The cat jumps up on the bed and cushions itself in her lap. Jacqueline strokes the cat's back and the tail, and it purrs. What about my dad? I ask. I need to talk to him. Can you tell me where he is? Of course. Just give me until next week. We can talk again then. I need to look through some papers. Papers? What does she mean by papers? And why can't she just tell me what I need to know now? I guess I'll just call her next week. Maybe she needs to take a nap or something, eat some applesauce, I don't know. Jacqueline gets up and walks out of the room without saying a word, so I follow her. She heads into her office and writes something down on a piece of paper. Here's my number. Call me Wednesday. Maybe you can come by again like you did today. We'll have an early dinner. I take the piece of paper. Here, take this. Buy yourself something on the way home. She pushes a $5 bill into my hands. Thanks, I say, putting the bill into my jean pocket. Nice to see you again, Samantha. Hope you won't be a stranger now. She hugs me but doesn't hold me tightly. Guess she hasn't gotten much energy left. I'm not sure. I go back down the stairs and put my shoes on. I open the closet to get my jacket. The funny smell is burning my nose again. I put my coat on and zip it up. Jacqueline opens the door for me. Jacqueline, what's that smell? I ask. It's been burning my nose the whole time. Oh, probably just the mothballs, she says, holding on to the cat as if it were a baby in her arms. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the tea. I'll call you next week. She doesn't respond. She gives me a blank stare. I try not to let it spook me out. I walk out of the door and she closes it swiftly behind me. Mothballs. What a terrible smell. All right, so that's chapter 10 of Quincy Rules. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. And Quincy is about to really kind of go on a kind of a wild goose chase to get some more. Yes, thank you, Chantel. Jacqueline is frustrating. And that's not even the end of it. So, you know, Jacqueline is an elderly lady. She lives alone, but she's, you know, self-sufficient, and, you know, she's intelligent and talkative enough to talk to Quincy. But of course, this is kind of like confusing for Quincy because Jacqueline kind of talks her in a circle. And, you know, there are people you meet in life like that. And certainly with Quincy being 15, she doesn't want to, you know, be disrespectful toward this woman. She doesn't want to rub this woman the wrong way, but at the same time, she is definitely seeking information. So that's all I'm going to read of Quincy Rules. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. I'm going to read a little bit of my other teen work, and it's Deanne in the middle. Do you all have any questions just now before I go to the next book, if anyone is still there? Or Chantel and my Hampton friends, as y'all see, I'm repping Hampton today. I was like, let me go ahead and put this shirt on because this might be the last time I can do it this year, right? We might not have homecoming. Okay. Deanne in the middle. This is my first teen work, and this came out in 2014. Thank you. Quite different from Quincy Rules. It has nothing to do with the book that I just read. So Quincy Rules is a mystery, and I know that I need to write something more with that story, a sequel. I got things I'm working on, but it's just kind of tough on, you know, what do you present first? What do you, develop first? So I am grappling with those creative decisions. Okay, so Deanne in the middle, this is more of just a realistic read. This is what my students, when I was teaching K-12, would call, drama. So it has a lot of conflict in it. Deanne Summers is the protagonist. I've had kids and people ask me, oh, is Deanne you? Is this book about you? No, it is not about me, and Deanne is not me. But I just happened to like the name Deanne. I thought it was simple and easy to remember. I crafted the story years ago. Actually, it was what I submitted to get into my Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing program at the New School. So it's just something that I kept working on for years and then, finally published in 2014. All right, so I want to set up this chapter that I'm going to read. Deanne is really going through a lot. So this one similarity between she and I is that she loves English class and she loves writing. Sometimes writers will infuse some aspect of themselves in a character, in a protagonist. It may be intentionally or it may be unintentionally, but I always say to writers, write what you know. I'm a firm believer in that. So although this is a fiction work, certainly there are some aspects that I could relate to. If I were a teen reading this book, I could think back and go, oh yeah, when I was in middle school and high school, I loved English. And so Deanne is that student who really loves to write. She's really into school. She wants to be a good student. She wants to be a good friend. She is living with her mom and just starting high school, and she's facing the whole idea of, oh, you speak a certain way, so this means you're not really black. You're trying to act white. She's dealing with that. She's dealing with some aspects of bullying, some aspects of, which crew do I hang with at this given time, because she has a lot of different groups of friends who she likes and enjoys and relates well to all of them. And so she's kind of really able to blend in with a lot of different people. And I thought that would be a really interesting story from this perspective of an African-American female character. All right, so we're going to read chapter. It's always fun to figure out where do I start. When you do readings, you try to figure out where do you start to where it's interesting enough for the person, for the people hearing it, but it doesn't give everything away. Okay. So I'm going to try to read two parts of this. Let's try to find the most interesting parts. Okay, so just so you know, I had this pinpointed yesterday, but sometimes I kind of change my mind on what I want to read. All right, here we go. We're going to start with chapter 3. And the name of this, thank you, John. The name of this is titled, I Know Maya Too. And so this is early on in the book where Deanne is attending school, her first day of high school, and she's with a few friends and a few of other people that she doesn't really know, but she's going to get to know. And this is just kind of setting up, giving you a little bit of Deanne's personality and what she's into, and then some of what is going on around her. All right, so I'm actually starting kind of in the middle of this chapter, so I'm not starting right at the beginning. And as you'll see, I have some writing here because I generally make notes for myself when I'm doing readings, sometimes where I want to start, where I want to end, and I might even make corrections to myself as well in the text. Okay. Everyone is settled in their seats. Students are opening backpacks to take out notebooks and pens while we wait for Mrs. Ketchums to finish being self-occupied. So Mrs. Ketchums is their English teacher. What's up with this lady, Kevin asks. She hasn't bothered to say good morning to any of us. She's rude, a girl behind Kevin says. She's not excited to be here on the first day. Or she's just really laid back. When Mrs. Ketchums finally greets a class, she does it in an unusual way. She reads an excerpt of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. When she's done, Mrs. Ketchums looks very pleased with herself. She sits on a stool at the front of the class. Can any of you tell me what you know about Maya Angelou, she asks. Several students raise their hands. One redhead with freckles, sitting in the front row, seems especially giddy about answering. The girl waves her hand back and forth as Mrs. Ketchums couldn't see her. Mrs. Ketchums overlooks the other 6 students whose hands are up, including mine. She calls on Freckleface. Tell us what you know about Maya Angelou and tell me your name. The girl nods her head repeatedly, anxiously waiting for her chance to talk. The rest of the class all watches her, listening closely, probably to hear if she really knows anything at all about Maya Angelou. I kind of hope she doesn't, just so I can school the class. Kevin, I say, if this girl doesn't get it, it's all mine. Hi, I'm Kristen, Freckleface says. Maya Angelou was an African-American woman born here in St. Louis. She was raised in both St. Louis and Arkansas. She is an internationally known poet, author, playwright, dancer, director, and activist. She wrote 12 acclaimed books of poetry and autobiographies. She is best known for her books, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and Gather Together in My Name. She has a son named Guy, and she's Oprah Winfrey's godmother. Freckleface smiles and then turns around to smile at her classmates, including me. It's just a question, not a pageant. Deanne, don't be jealous, Kevin says. This is advanced English, girl. What did you think was going to happen? Oh, there's only smart people in this class. Hush, Kevin. Before Mrs. Ketchums could comment, I made sure to raise my hand. Oh, Miss Ketchums, I say. She forgot something. Maya Angelou is Dr. Maya Angelou because she received so many honorary doctorate degrees. Dr. Angelou was a distinguished college professor, and her birth name was Marguerite Johnson. Sitting taller in my chair now, as if I were LeBron on doing a slam dunk, Miss Freckles just gave me the side eye. If you can't stand the heat, girl, get out the kitchen. Well, I mean the advanced English class. This class is now getting hot, literally. Kevin gives me dap. Mrs. Ketchums gives me a nice job look. I'm just here to make an A and keep one all year. Well, both of you are correct, Mrs. Ketchums says. Kristen, you do seem to know quite a bit about Maya Angelou. Did you study her for a project in middle school, Mrs. Ketchums asks. No, my mother is an English professor at Washington University. When Maya Angelou visited there to give a talk, my mother took my brother and I along. Mrs. Ketchums turns toward me. And you, young lady, what did you say your name is? Deanne. Deanne Summers. Deanne, you also seem to know a lot about Dr. Maya Angelou, she says. Is she one of your favorite writers? She's one of my favorite poets. Besides Sonia Sanchez, June Jordan, Nikki Giovanni, and Langston Hughes, I say. Wonderful. Can I read something for the class, I ask. Sure. What is it, Deanne? Murmurs, snickers, awkward laughter, and yawns can be heard all around the room with a few no, 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 and a few, oh, yeah, go for it. It's a poem I wrote. Love to hear it. Go ahead, Deanne, Mrs. Ketchums says. I get out of my seat, feeling a little nervous, but I can't show it. So here goes, Deanne, the poet. Fresh and lovely, my skin bears no scars, fearless and defiant like a man behind bars. My mind is sharp and discerning, so I use it like a weapon. I am precious and brilliant like diamonds, none are equal in comparison. I can teach you to dance like lightning or sing of the blues. I'm the baddest little sister with no bounds, who knows no rules. My lyrics are dynamic, my words speak the truth. You can say I'm a poet carrying the truthful pen like Maya Angelou. Deanne, wow, you really wrote that? Mrs. Ketchums says. Yes, I did. Mrs. Ketchums and most of the class, except for a few dumbfounded students, including Freckleface, all clap. This is what I want for my students, Mrs. Ketchums says. What does she want, Kevin says? For us all to be spoken word poets? Shh, I say. I want for you to have a love and passion for literature. That is why we're all here. Do you agree? Yes, we all agree that we're here to pass this class and graduate, Kevin says. Everyone starts laughing. A girl next to me whispers, what's the assignment? This lady talks too much. Mrs. Ketchums goes on, I want you to have a knowledge of great writers and to explore your own creative expression. We'll all do this in this class. Thank you, Deanne, for that unexpected yet uplifting poem presentation. I'll be talking to you in the spring about joining my poetry club. You too, Kristen, if you girls are interested. That would be great, I say. Me too, Mrs. Ketchums, count me in. So what about rappers, Kevin asks. We'll talk more about that as the semester goes on. But of course, all creative writers are welcome. Okay, so that was chapter 3. So as you can see, there's a lot of little personalities in there. And Deanne is a bit competitive, but she's also creative, and she will her personality will change a little bit as the story goes along and as she meets more people. So Kevin is one of her best friends, one of her good friends. Hey, Kevin, I see another Kevin there. But Kevin is one of the main characters in the story. And again, I'm reading Deanne in the Middle, one of my teen books. So Kevin is a good friend, and then Deanne has a few other really good friends that are from her neighborhood. So I think I'll read a little bit of one more chapter and then I'll go ahead and end. Because I don't want to keep you guys, but I did want to give a nice little read aloud. And this will be saved. I'm going to put this on my YouTube. So this video will be saved and I'll post it later once I'm able to download it. Okay, so this next chapter, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. This is chapter 20, and this is when Deanne gets in a little bit of trouble with some of her peers, and she is misunderstood quite a bit. Thank you. She's misunderstood quite a bit by some of her classmates because she is striving to be a good student. She is presenting herself in the best way she can, and we all know when you go to school, there are people that are not always there to actually go to school, if you understand what I'm saying. And so being an African-American girl who is striving, and there's some students around her who don't maybe agree with how she's striving and how she's going about doing things, she does come across some bullying. And so that's where we're going to get that in this chapter. And just my disclaimer, I do not condone bullying or violence, but this is a part of the story to illustrate how teens can work through conflict and come out on the other side in a healthy manner, in a more healthy manner than perhaps how they have started. And my perspective on this comes from being an educator and being someone who's worked with students in K-12 for many years, and understanding that, our kids come with a lot of different issues to school. And even when there's someone who might not start a problem, kids can get involved in things because other kids have, certain issues. And so that's why I thought it was important to kind of work some of that into the novel, because we know that teens and adolescents are dealing with a lot of things on a day-to-day basis that can impact them while they're in school. All right, so this chapter is chapter 19, and I'm just going to read a part of this. And Deanne is in social studies with some of her classmates, and she's getting ready to have an issue. Okay. Later in social studies, Palmer comes over to me. Deanne, did you ask your mother about Saturday, the movies? No, not at all. I probably will later tonight. Okay, cool. Just let me know as soon as you can. Mavis Jones turns around in her desk and gives me an evil eye stare until I notice her. I look up and meet Mavis's stare eye to eye. I'm letting her know that I am not afraid of her. What are you looking at? Mavis asks. You're the one turned around looking at me, I say. It's because you're talking too loud and I'm trying to study for the test, Mavis says in an irritated tone. Here we go. Are you kidding? I was whispering, I say. Well, whisper somewhere else. Mavis is so rude. She turns around at her desk, flinging her curly burgundy black hair everywhere. I turn around to see if Palmer noticed the argument between me and Mavis at all. He didn't. He's busy reading, and so is the rest of the class, with the exception of a few students whose heads are either nodding off or face down on their desks, including Daphne. Mrs. Aioli is writing the main points on the blackboard from each chapter for Friday's test. No one saw Mavis acting up. I can't worry about her. I have to think about my own test so that I can get an A. 30 minutes later, at the end of the class, me, Michelle, and Daphne walk out of class together. Mavis comes up behind me, shouting loud enough for everyone to hear her. Oreo! All the students come out of social studies and gather at the door. You think you're so cute? Well, you ain't. And if you stare at me in class again, girl, I'm gonna hurt you. I turn around and look at Mavis. This girl is intent on having a fight with me. Whatever, I say. I turn to walk out of class. What did you say to me? Mavis asks. I don't get 1 foot out the door before Mavis forcefully grabs the back of my hair, trying to pull me down to the ground. Break this fight up right now. I'm calling security. The rest of you go to class. This is nonsense, Mrs. Aioli says. A student mob now forms around me and Mavis. I struggle to grab Mavis's hand so she can let go of my hair. Students start yelling, fight, 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 fight. Michelle and Daphne are just standing around watching as if they have a front row seat at an action-packed movie. I hear Kristen yell, get off of her. I'm pulling Mavis's hands off of me, and now we're both on the floor. Get off of me. Now I'm kicking her to get her off of me, and I sink my nails into her hands. Maybe this will make her let me go. Mavis takes her hands off my hair, but now she's gripping my neck. 2 security officers come in and pull us apart and off of the floor. That's enough. Everybody go to class. You 2 girls are coming with us to Mr. Chamberlain's office right now. Let's go. Thanks for the call, Mrs. Aioli, one of the officers says. No problem. Thank you for coming so quickly, Mrs. Aioli says, clutching her pearl necklace and shaking her head. She just witnessed a very violent scene. It looks like no one is getting to their next class on time, especially me and Mavis. Okay, so that's the end of that chapter. Yeah, Mavis is a trip. And to me, Mavis is like every girl's worst nightmare, because if you've ever been bullied, she's like the stereotypical bully, bad attitude, bitter, is never really just focused on herself, always focused on someone else's business and what someone else has going on, and always has a judgment and a criticism. So I felt like she would be perfect as the person to challenge Deanne and really kind of make Deanne look at a lot of different things in her life and in herself, and also to have that challenge to strengthen herself and to figure out how to best resolve this kind of situation. So that will be the end of my read aloud. Does anyone have any questions? Chantel, thank you for your comment. And John and everyone else, thank you for your comments and for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, so if you all want more information, these two books and others that I have can be found at my website, litnoirpublishing.com, and that's LITNOIRE publishing.co. And so today I read from Quincy Rules, a mystery. This is more of a middle grade, and from Deanne in the middle. Lit, L-I-T, sorry I can't type it right now because my phone is on a stand. LITNOIRE publishing.co. And I'm gonna post this video or make it available later in case you want to rewatch or show it to any kids that you know. So tomorrow I'm going to come back and I will be reading, I'll just share with you today because I kind of have it laid out already. I'm going to be reading from poetry anthologies tomorrow. So I have these three that I'm going to be reading from. So if you all want to come back, or if you have any kids or teens or teachers that want to come back, I'll be sharing these around 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, okay? And I'm going to do this again on Friday as well. I have something else planned for Friday. Okay, well, I hope you all are staying safe, and I appreciate you being here, and be well. Take care.